Holy Land. A 2016 biblical journey.
Well, this is Pastor Randy from the land of Israel. We are in the city of Jerusalem. Beautiful, beautiful place at a park near the old city, Jerusalem. I have a very special guest with me today, Elder Don Esposito. And Don, today I want to talk about something very specific, and that is the name Yehovah. It's becoming more and more popular within the U.S. Many people believe that this is the name of our Father in heaven, and you say, no, it's not.
Yes.
And you have evidence to support this. So I know it's from the Aleppo Codex, and you have some information about the Aleppo Codex specifically as it pertains to the name of Yahweh, YHWH, Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh. So help us understand why you believe that the pronunciation Yehovah is not correct.
Okay. First of all, it's well documented, and we'll give the sources when we end here. It's well documented that the rabbis in the 6th to 10th century, when they were starting to put the vowel pointing, because before that there's no vowel pointing in any of the texts, that because they didn't want someone to inadvertently say the name Yahweh, that they took the vowels from Adonai and put those vowels into the Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. So that's a fact.
And that's where we get Jehovah.
Exactly. Jehovah or Yehovah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing that's coming. So that's where that comes from. Now, you basically have two codexes that come from the vowel pointing era, and that's the Masoretic text, which is the received text of Judaism and almost everybody. And then there's a second text called the Aleppo Codex. The Aleppo Codex coming from Aleppo, Lebanon, where the problems are going on today. That's where the codex was written, and it's a good text. Not that it's a bad text, but what happened was a few people that actually got their hands on the text. They started looking at this text, and they found that it is very similar to the Masoretic text in many ways, and that the same vowel pointing that the rabbis did, that we know they admit that incorrectly vowel pointed to Adonai, but they're out of the 6,823 times that the Tetragrammaton or the Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh is there, it's vowel pointed to Yehovah 50 times out of that. So this crazy theory that came up that really doesn't have any premise or basis of evidence for it is that somehow the scribe accidentally 50 times put the right name, which should be Yehovah. And I'll tell you why it makes no sense. Because over here in Israel, we've had the blessing that we know scribes. We bring our groups sometimes to scribes that teach you how they work and whatnot. Number one, you can't have a mistake in an official document that's a Torah document. What happens if there is a mistake? Usually what they'll do is if they can't cut the mistake out, like something like the name, they would not even cut it out. They wouldn't scrape it off. They would have to cut it out. They would literally have to cut it out and replace it. So if this is an official document, which the Aleppo Codex is, there's no way there's 50 mistakes to anything in there. You know, it just wouldn't be that way. So this mindset that somehow this scribe 50 times accidentally put the right pronunciation of Yehovah in there is absolutely preposterous, and there's just no premise of truth to it.
And there's no other documents that support Yehovah, is that
no,
correct? It's
absolutely
just the
not.
Aleppo Codex.
And
it's just those 50 instances out of 7,000.
Absolutely, you're right. If you look into all the ancient text, all the ancient documents, everything written by Judaism, like I said, we'll go over a few of these here in a minute, everything says the name is Yahweh. That's where everything, and personally I've been blessed being here, that I've had the opportunity to know some very high rabbis and priests.
And how long have you been here in Israel?
20 years.
20 years. So that's a long time.
Very long time.
Good experience.
And even the Samaritan priests, who are Levites, they've done DNA, they're Levites. They're the only priests that have never left the land of Israel. So they're not like the other ones that are here that came back later. And we asked the priest clearly, is the name Yahweh? And he said, yes, it is.
Matter of fact, it reminds me, you've been our tour guide here in Israel. And our archaeologist we had with us, I won't mention his name out of respect, but his wife is a Yemenite Jew. And I had the opportunity while on Mount Carmel to ask him, is the way Don pronounces the name, is that correct? And he says, yes. And he went on to say this, which I found really fascinating. He said, based on my Yemenite wife, which we know Yemenite is the oldest form of Hebrew, he says, based on my Yemenite wife and how she would pronounce the name, it's exact.
Yes.
And I was just amazed. Number one, that he confirmed that, being a Jew, because most Jews won't. And two, that we had the opportunity not to hear just from any Jew, but from a 30-year archaeologist married to a Yemenite wife, a woman. I mean, it's just incredible, in my mind, validation of the name Yahweh. So, you know, we know the name is Yahweh. And share with us some of the other references, because I think your explanation on the Aleppo Codex is good.
Yes.
It's very, very important for people to realize that out of almost 7,000 times, only 50 times, and I think your point too with the Jews would not allow a mistake to go by. They were very meticulous with these manuscripts, and it's unthinkable that they would make 50 mistakes.
A scribe, an official scribe.
And just let it go.
Exactly.
I cannot believe that. So the theory, as you said, is just really crazy, and really without any scholarly evidence whatsoever to support it. But anyway, share with us some evidence for Yahweh's name.
Yeah, let me read a few of these, because there could be thousands upon thousands of people that will see this, that it isn't just our opinion, but this is actually from Judaism from the very beginning. This is coming from Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. It says Yehovah, or Jehovah, is a false reading of the Hebrew Yahweh. That's from 1973 edition. Encyclopedia Americana. Yehovah, or Jehovah, erroneous form of the name of the Elohim of Israel. That's coming from 1972, volume 16. Encyclopedia Britannica. The Masoretics, who from the 6th to the 10th century worked to reproduce the original text of the Hebrew Bible, replaced the vowels of the name Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh with the vowel signs of Adonai, or Elohim. Thus the artificial name Yehovah came into being. That's also from the New Encyclopedia Britannica, 1993.
Now, does that say Jehovah or Yehovah in the actual reference?
Yeah, in the English they're putting Jehovah, but Yehovah is the same.
And it is the same, and I want to make that point. Because some may say, or it doesn't say Yehovah, but J is not in Hebrew.
Yes.
They would have had Yehovah. So that's an important point. I just wanted to make sure so our viewers realize that even though you're saying Yehovah and it says Jehovah, it's the same thing.
It's the
because
same.
Again, Hebrew does not have a J sound.
Yes. And in English, if you go into the original King James Bible from 1607, 1611, when you saw the J, you'd be saying Yah.
Yes.
There
As a matter of fact, the original 1611 King James had no J.
Yes, it didn't even have a J.
It was an I.
But when the J came in, interesting enough, in German today, our brethren that are in Germany, when you see the word Joel, Joel, we would say, they say Yoel. In German language today, which the Ashkenazis come from, the J is still a Y. So that's why you're right. When you're saying Jehovah or Yehovah, it's
same thing.
Absolutely the same thing. This is the Jewish Encyclopedia now. Yehovah, or Jehovah, a mispronunciation of the Hebrew Yahweh, the name of Elohim. The pronunciation of Jehovah or Yehovah is grammatically impossible.
That's amazing.
Which is another thing. And remember, in Hebrew, the word Hova means ruin or destruction,
mischief.
right?
I think mischief is in it, but yeah, absolutely. The other thing, just real quickly, and maybe because time, the V or the Vav, I don't think we've mentioned that just yet, but that was added. That was Ashkenazi influence.
Yes.
The Sephardic Jews, the Yemenite Jews, they still use the Wa, or the W, not the V. So that's another point, that Yahweh or Yehovah, the Vav or the V is not correct based on Hebrew grammar.
And actually, the Ashkenazis also use the Wa. They know from biblical Hebrew, they know it's Wa. Nobody doubts
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, I have a biblical program.
Yeah, even Ashkenazis, they'll say that. So even though in modern Hebrew, they use the Vav, everybody, as a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever met someone here in Israel that's a scholar that ever debated that.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank you for sharing everything you did with us, because it really is important for people to realize that our Father in heaven has it. Matter of fact, I wanted to read something just real quick here. This is from Acts. As a matter of fact, it's a quote from Joel 2, but I'm going to read from Acts 2, verse 21. This is Peter speaking. He says, "And it shall come to pass that whoever shall call on the name of Yahweh shall be saved."
Yes.
This shows, and this is one of many, many, I mean, we could go all day long looking at the importance of Yahweh's name. This is just one of many passages showing the importance. And this is why it's important to get it right, though.
Yes.
And this Yehovah, as you said, is an impossibility within the Hebrew.
Yes.
Even within the original English. And what many people don't realize is that J was the last letter to be added to the English alphabet. So, again, it's just not right. And we would encourage anybody debating this name to really look into it, because it's an important, maybe the most important. I don't know what you think, but I think the name of our Father in heaven is maybe the most important aspect of our worship.
Absolutely. And there's 68 references in the Tanakh where the shortened form Yah is used. So we know it's Yah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not Yeh, it's Yah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, I'd like to thank you. And again, it's been a pleasure being with you in the Holy Land. And just for our viewers, we're right near the city, old city of Jerusalem, in a park, beautiful park. Very important site, but I'll let you talk about that later. But I'd like to thank you for watching this short program. I pray that it's been a blessing to you. And again, we would encourage you to look into Yehovah if you believe this and realize that this is not a name we find within Hebrew or Greek, certainly not within English. It's an impossibility, as Elder Don stated, and we would just encourage you to look into it because, again, our Father's name is very, very important. It's vital to our worship, and this is something we can't get wrong. So I pray that it's been a blessing to you, and thank you for watching, and may Yahweh bless you. Bye-bye.